Hello and welcome to my first review of the latest book I have not finished yet, and that is The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins and Sawyer Robbins. I'm exactly 50 pages into this book. It took me a couple weeks to read, which is pretty good for me. Considering I'm reading something different all the time. I was given this book from the holiday season from my in-laws. My mother-in-law and grandmother-in-law kind of paired up to get me this, and no offense to them, love them to death, but I did think it was kind of funny that they gifted me this because I asked them both if they had read it or like knew about the theory, and they're like, no, and here I am like already kind of living by like my own system of that, so that's why I say like I thought it was kind of funny. Like I said, love them to death, but I do think like they're the kind of person that could benefit from this book, whereas I'm already kind of living by that system. However, I'm very grateful they gave it to me because I've been wanting to check it out myself. I've heard Mel a lot on her podcast. I've heard her talk about this theory before. It's not new to me, but I'm really excited and have enjoyed like digging in deeper to see what she really says about it. So like I said, I've read exactly the first 50 pages. I have done a lot of underlining, which is usually a good sign, like for me, you know, like if I want to mark everything because I think it's poignant or something I want to remember, obviously that's a good sign about like what the book kind of means for me. Or how I'm enjoying it. But it also kind of made me realize through reading this how I want to commend Mel on honestly like how simplified her language can be a lot of the time, like how she can take something that could almost seem complex and break it down like into its simplest form. And that's why I say I want to commend Mel, because I think that's actually a sign of intelligence for someone to be able to break it down to its simplest form so that the masses, like so that everybody can understand it in a way that maybe more complex language would not translate. And so I want to commend Mel for that. And by reading this book and seeing that in her language, I now like notice it in her verbal language on her podcast. So once again, love you, Mel. You're killing it there. Like I said, I do personally enjoy Mel Robbins, and I know that there's a lot of flack out there on the internet about her and how she quote unquote stole this book idea from like other ideologies and theologies. I think that's ridiculous. Like if you've read this book, if you've heard her talk about it, she talks about how she came to the idea. She clearly didn't steal it. All concepts have existed in some way, shape, or form before their conception. Like nothing is new in this world. Everything has already existed in some way, shape, or form, and stories are always retelling the same. Stories are always being retold in different ways, and that's where I can actually appreciate Mel for taking something that she references in the book, or all these other quote ideologies and things that she stole this concept from. She references and explains the similarities through her research when she came to this idea, this theory. Like she wanted to back it up, found these other things that say similar or the exact thing, and that's where like we can find credibility within it. That doesn't mean she stole it. But what I like about it is how she can simplify the language and retell the same beautiful teachings or sayings or ideologies that are beneficial for people to know about who don't happen to know about it. And stories are meant to be retold, and if she can translate these belief systems to the masses in a way that they actually internalize and can embody for the betterment of themselves, why would we have a problem with that? If people are growing and changing from this book, why do we have a problem with that? Keep to yourself. I don't have time, you know, go Mel. However, I will say that the one kind of critique I have so far, like only, 50 pages into this book, because I haven't finished it, is I've heard Mel talk a lot. I've heard her talk about this theory. It's called the Let Them Theory, right? You've all heard of it. Like people don't always know Mel Robbins. I talk to people all the time. They don't always know Mel Robbins. They always know the Let Them Theory. And you can just say, she's the author of that Let Them book. And they're like, oh, yeah. I know who you're talking about. Everybody knows the Let Them part of this concept. I even thought I knew about this theory. Like I said, I've watched her talk about it before. But it wasn't until getting to the further end of the 50 pages I've read that I hear or that I understand that really the let them is only the first part of the theory, and that there is a second part that's called the let me. And that you cannot implement the let them theory without the let me theory or aspect of it's a two-part system essentially. And I just found it interesting. Like I said, this is my one critique. Love you, Mel. But I found it interesting that we had to package this book in a way that targets how other people, so the two parts of the theory is the let them is kind of releasing control over things that we do not have control over. So why are we worrying about it? But then you have to add the let me, which is taking back ownership of what you can control. And that's why she says it's not an either or, it's a both. You have to do both parts. You have to let go, let them think whatever they want, do what they're gonna do. But let me do what I can do about it. And I find it interesting that they had to package and sell this book and this theory off of only the aspect of what is other people's part and not your own part. And I have to wonder if it's because, you know, I think they knew that if they packaged this and marketed this in a way that's about what you have to do to change your life, nobody would do it. But if they can just, you know, blame other people or not blame other people for their problems and stop there, not everyone is getting over 50 pages into this book to even hear about the let me theory. So that's where I say I find it unfortunate that they had to market it in a way that's only about like the removing yourself instead of like what you can actually take ownership of in your life. However, if that's the way that we get to the biggest impact and more people reading it and knowing about it, then I support the cause. But that's my one critique. Overall, love you, Mel. Really enjoying the book. Excited to keep going. If I do, I'll keep you posted. But for now, that is my review of the first 50 pages of the Let Them Theory. That's all for now. Ta-ta.